Hello, and welcome back to Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about gunfighting the right way, from a Judeo-Christian worldview and real-world first-hand experience. Today is a short episode on a single cartridge. I'm very blessed with experience and knowledge, and I try to pass it on, and it seems like these cartridge talks are some of the favorite ones. So, since I mostly do this to give you guys information, I'll give you what you want. Roll into a quick abbreviated bio and then into the main topic. I am your host, Michael Melito. First and foremost, I am a Christian, and I don't apologize for that. God is number one, and I want to recognize that. I'm a combat veteran of the United States Marine Corps. A couple of combat tours in Iraq. I was an urban warfare instructor for the Marine Corps. I also served in the United States Army. I also served with LAPD. I'm a state rifle and pistol champion a few times over, a professional big game hunter and guide, FBI certified firearms instructor. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle. Psalm 144. With that, let's get into today's topic, guys. Alright, guys. Today we're going to be talking about a pretty cool old cartridge, the 22 Hornet. Per my Hornety reloading manual, it was introduced way back in 1920 for varmint hunting. Now, today we have a lot of 22 center fires for varmint hunting. Obviously, the 223 is super popular, the 222, the 222 Remington Magnum, the 22 Swift, the 22 250. And likewise, today we have a lot of smaller rimfire rounds for varmint hunting. We have obviously the 22 long rifle. Pretty much, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you know about a 22 long rifle, the 22 Magnum, and then you have all the various 17s, the 17 Mach 2, the 17 HMR, and quite a few others in the high velocity 22 category. So why are we even talking about the 22 Hornet? What's a 22 Hornet good for? Well, a 22 Hornet kind of is in that world in between, where you don't want a super high velocity, super loud, super powerful centerfire rifle like, let's say, a 223. Where I think this really shines is if you want to hunt varmints and you want to load your own ammo, or you want the dependability and reliability of a centerfire as opposed to a rimfire. This is giving you quite a bit of step up in performance. The manual I have in front of me lists a 35 grain bullet at 3,100 feet a second and a 40 grain bullet at 2,900 feet a second. Now you'll notice that a 30 something to a 40ish grain bullet is pretty common weight in both the 22 long rifle and the 22 Magnum, and quite a bit heavier than you're going to get in the 17s. And it's a very, very efficient cartridge. So if you're trying to kill a lot of varmints with reloading with not a lot of cost, this would be pretty cool because it's pushing that 3,100 feet a second with that 35 grain bullet with 12 grains of powder. And I'm not going to specify which powder. I'm not going to give load data out in this podcast. But with 2,800 to 3,100 feet a second, depending on what you want to load, anywhere between 8 point something and 12 point something grains of powder is not a lot. Compare that with a 223 when you're looking at loading a 40 grain bullet. You're looking at 27, 25, 20-ish grains of powder. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, about double. And yeah, you get, in the same reloading manual, 3,800 feet a second out of that 40 grain bullet, out of a 223, but at the cost of a lot more powder. Like I said, that 22 Hornet is super efficient, at least compared to those cartridges. When you step up to like the 22 250, you're getting even like 35 grains of powder. And if you're shooting rock chucks or woodchucks or prairie dogs or fox, which would just be a great round for fox, I would say your small, medium-sized game. You know, the things in the middle of a squirrel and a rabbit and a coyote. Your foxes, your possums, your coons, your marmots if you're out west, your woodchucks or rock chucks if you're back east. But do fine up into larger things like coyotes. If you're hand loading, you can load it to what you want. You can load it way down. You can load it way down and have it be a lot quieter report than probably your 22 Magnum even is going to be. And certainly, in my imagination, much quieter than a 223 or something in that class is going to be. And maybe you have a little piece of land you want to hunt in a suburban area or an area where you don't want to bother neighbors or make a lot of noise. It would be great for that. Well, let's say that you don't reload. Let's say you just buy factory ammo, which is fine too. Why then would you look at the 22 Hornet? Well, because it's very small. It's small in the realm of like 22 Magnum with quite a bit of step up in performance. So you can chamber it in smaller rifles. One of the really cool rifles that it's chambered in would be the Ruger bolt action 22s, the 7722. It's kind of sort of like a Ruger 1022, but in a bolt action, and they're just really cool little rifles, and you get a much smaller action and a much smaller bolt and bolt throw and bolt travel. So if you just want a really small, cool, handy, well-made rifle, those Rugers are great. CZ makes beautiful rifles, and they make a 22 Hornet, the 527 American, and that's very similar, very small bolt throw, a very small, handy rifle for varmint hunting, for small game hunting, for that medium small game hunting. And if you shoot something like a raccoon with a 22 Hornet with a good shot placement, if it's dead, it's dead. It wouldn't be any more dead with a 223. It wouldn't be any more dead with a 22 250. Dead is dead. Especially if you're doing something where you want the pelts like Bobcat, if you want to save that pelt. Again, I said if you hand load, but even if you don't, I'm sure you can find a load that suits it. But you could hand load solid FMJ projectiles, punch clean in and out, and you can load down the velocity of whatever you think you need for whatever range you anticipate without doing a lot of damage. Like I said, maybe you want to load it down just because you want to be quiet and hunt in the suburban area where obviously it's legal, but you still have neighbors you don't want to wake up super early in the morning. And I think it's still relevant because it's just a cool intermediate round. Like I said, it's quite a big step up from the 22 Magnum, and it's quite a bit less powerful than the 223. And I know in America nowadays we kind of have this thing where bigger is better, more is better, but it's not always the case. There's something to be said for efficiency. And this rifle has been killing varmints since the 1920s, and it continues to do so. So it's a great cartridge, and I figured it was worth a mention on Better Know a Cartridge series. With that, guys, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review of the podcast. Scroll down if you want to write a review, just a simple one. Great podcast or whatever. Give it some stars. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you want to check out this podcast, more about it, you can go to goodshepherdtraining.com. If you want to contact me, interested in any other podcast that we do, you want to see some photos, some other kind of media, or if you think this content was worth the fraction of the cost of a box of ammo, $1. For as little as $1, you can help support the podcast. Because they're free for you to listen to, but they're not free to produce. So for as little as $1, you can help support. And again, you can go to goodshepherdtraining.com, scroll down to the bottom, there'll be a Patreon link on there. With that, guys, I'll say thanks and have a blessed day.